Niner faithful, fans in the Niner Station, what a terrible loss. I think all of us are feeling a lot of emotions right now. I can tell you right now, throughout this podcast, we're going to quickly highlight one, how awesome Tom Brady's broadcast was, talking about Purdy like we predicted. Two, the things that we predicted and did not predict. And three, what we could have done differently in the second half. But with that, guys, Ryan, I'll give it to you. How are you doing, and what do you think so far?
Tommy, I'm still a little numb, not sure how I feel after that game. Leading 23-10 at half, I was feeling good. Thought we kind of had this in the bag, but I'm just hurting so bad right now, man. And I want to get into it and see how you guys feel too. And let's pick this apart. So, Mark, how are you feeling after this game?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, this is one of those games where I literally just sat on my couch after it ended, just kind of just staring at the TV, speechless. My wife's looking at me like, I'm not going to say anything to you because I know that you're not in a good mood. And it was one of those games where you kind of get the spirit ripped out of you, your soul ripped out of you, whatever you want to call it. You have no words for it. And it's a game that they lost. They should have won. I feel like there's multiple games like that this year already. And I was at a loss for words after it. And I'm thinking, what am I going to say in this instant reaction podcast sitting on the couch as I see the Brock Purdy interception off the tip? So I'm very defeated right now as a Niner fan. The only saving grace we have is the Seahawks somehow found a way to lose to the Giants. So I'm excited to get into this game and talk about where we went wrong and what we need to improve to get this thing back on track for the Niners this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I brought it up to you guys pre-pod, but we are now 0-3 in the NFC. The only teams we have beaten is the AFC. We beat the Jets, we beat the Patriots, but what people don't realize is what comes down to the playoff tiebreaker is, doesn't matter about your overall record, it comes down to your NFC record, and we are 0-3. That is a hole that's going to be really hard to dig ourselves out of. We are going to definitely must-win game against Seahawks coming up, and we'll talk about that later this week. But losing a game that we should have beat the Rams, losing a game that we should have beat the Vikings, and definitely today. If we didn't lose Moody, I think we win this game. I think we can start there. Let's just talk about what we prefaced before, special teams. Today, we got a special teams touchdown. Today, we got what we asked for, but what we didn't ask for was to lose our field goal kicker. So now that changes the game plan, right? We're able to kick a 57-yard field goal if Moody's there. No Moody, we can kick 30 or less. I don't know what the field goal was that Mishnowski made, but it was, 25? Let's just say 25-ish. But that changed the play calling, right? Because, you're not just trying to get into field goal range from now on. Now we're trying to get into the end zone or literally on the goal line. We have to be fourth and goal to kick a field goal. So that caused, I think what sucks is we made up. We had the turnover wins. Or no, we didn't, because I think we tied, right? Because Mason fumbled. But the Bosa interception return, right, was amazing. That's something we don't see very often. Bosa is starting to finally come into his own. Yeah, it took 5 weeks, but now we're starting to see Bosa live up to his potential, which is awesome. But at the end of the day, without a kicker, you're playing for a touchdown which is cool, because maybe we're going deep. Brock is good. Ayuk had a hell of a game. Might as well, I'll let you guys decide. What do you want to talk about first? How good we did on special teams for once, or Brandon Ayuk actually having a game that deserved $34 million a year?
Yeah, for me, the special teams finally made a play, right? It was funny where I'm sitting there watching the game, and I look over to my wife and I was like, hey, we're going to get a play here. And we block the field goal and we return it, right? And then the next thing you know, we kick the ball off. And for some reason, again, special teams did decent today, but I still don't understand the game plan as a special teams coach not to kick it out of the back of the end zone. Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, right there next to Bill Walsh, the 49er great, has already said, with this new kickoff rule, you should kick it out of the end zone, give the ball on the 30. We don't kick it out of the end zone, and our kicker ends up having to make a tackle, and the ankle injury looks bad. He might be out for a while. And so now we're down a kicker for the whole game. And like you said, now we're going for it on 4th and 25 when we could have kicked a field goal. And to me, that was the deciding factor in the game. Not having a field goal kicker changes the game plan. It affects the play calling, and it just changes the whole situation that the Niners are in with the lead, right? Because you can keep piling on points with 3 points. I know it's not touchdowns, but you can get 3 points. And then Mason fumbles at the end, right? But it's to me, special teams got us in the game and then cost us the game because we didn't kick the ball in the end zone. It's just not smart special teams to me.
Losing Jake Moody, this one stings because he was controversial coming into the team, just being picked so high in the draft, 99th overall in the 3rd round. And I saw news, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the report right now is that he suffered a high ankle sprain. So we know that those could take multiple weeks, not just one. He probably won't be back next week, that's for sure.
On the kicking leg.
On the kicking leg, which makes it so terrible. Jake Moody, someone we invested a lot of high draft capital in, and someone just so young in his 2nd year. We hope it's nothing serious, but we're going to have to patch this hole immediately. So that leaves us some problems moving forward, especially on a short week because we play on Thursday against Seattle. So that's going to be a storyline that we definitely have to closely follow.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge impact going forward. Hopefully they have somebody that they can call in and can be an interim replacement for him, however long he's out, probably a few weeks if it's a high ankle sprain. But for me, another thing in the game that I took notice of, and I was texting my dad back and forth, and I think I was texting you guys too, like, for some reason, Shanahan turned into the run and shoot offense. It looked like I was watching Colt Brennan's Hawaii team back in the day, if you guys remember that, where we're going full
like spread and doing
full shotgun, 4 wide, 5 wide. It's like, where is this running game, and why are we not giving the ball to Jordan Mason? He only had 14 carries. Debo's in the backfield a lot again. Guerrero actually kind of looked decent, getting some toss outside runs and things like that. But for me, it's like, what are we doing going 4 or 5 wide all the time? I understand Brock Purdy is developing in this offense, but to me, we need to stick with the running game. And when Jordan Mason carries the ball only 14 times, that's not a recipe for success, and I think that hurt us in the ball game.
We talked about it last week. If Jordan Mason gets 22 carries, we win the game. Jordan Mason gets 126 yards, we win the game. Jordan Mason had 49 yards going into the middle of the 2nd quarter. He's on pace for that. And for whatever reason, we decided to, stealing this from you, Mark, Kyle Shanahan wanted to get cute with the offense, and here we go. It's like, I don't understand his thought process. Like, when he's successful, he wants to continue to be successful in different ways versus just being successful at what's working. Like, he's done this historically throughout his entire career. Hate to say it, Tom Brady's Super Bowl against Falcons, guess what happened, right? 28-3. Shanahan is doing everything that works, throws it away. First Super Bowl against the Chiefs that we had, we're up, 24-10? Threw it away. Second Super Bowl against the Chiefs, we're up, threw it away. Today, we're playing the Cardinals in a divisional game. It's the easiest situation to not F up. I had to bite my tongue there for a second, 49er fans. But I just don't understand the thought process behind abandoning the run, right? That is the 49er identity, is we're going to pound the football, we're going to beat your ASS on defense. That's just what we do. We've done it for like 30, our entire life. We're 32, all 3 of us. He's done the exact same, like we have as a 49er team. Watched Frank Gore, Garrison Hurst. We watched us run it down the throat of every NFC West team. But today, when it's successful, we decide, hey, you know what? Let's go deeper in the playbook instead of running the same plays. Why? Because we think they're going to stop it if we run the same play a second time? Mark, you're a coach. If you have something that works, what do?
Keep running it.
I mean, that's what I would do. I'm not a coach. I would love to coach with you, Mark. We'll bring that up later in the podcast. But I just don't get why Shanahan continually does this week in and week out. We come in, we have the number 1 rusher in the NFC, or not the NFC, in the NFL, but we don't feed him the rock more than 14 times. Now, we have talked about workload management. That's not what we're asking for workload management. But I will say this, you're absolutely right. I think, Mark, you said this. Guerrero got a couple carries, and he actually looked like a pretty decent running back for once. Like the last couple games where we gave him the ball when Mason's taken a breather because he just ran 25 yards or ran the ball 3 times in a row. I thought, one positive here I will take away is I don't think Guerrero's a bust anymore. I think Guerrero's actually pretty solid. He just doesn't have a lot of experience. He started 1 game in college. People don't realize that. He's not like your typical college running back that you draft that, played for UCLA and started every game or played for UT or Georgia or any big school. No, he was a backup running back at Wisconsin?
Louisville. Well, I
Louisville.
think Wisconsin.
Louisville.
Yeah.
He played at both teams, but he was a backup either way, right? Like he's never been a starter. He's a career backup, but he has according to, I think I was listening to Larry Krueger this morning in a preview, he highlighted that he essentially has the same measurables as Saquon Barkley, right? So he's a developmental piece that we typically do draft, and he seems like he's getting the opportunity to develop this year. So that's like a small, if we can take away one positive from this loss, Isaac Guerrero getting a little bit of carries and actually showing that he could be the relief running back we're looking for, because he still supplies that punishing dose of running that our finer offensive identity needs to have. Again, I don't know why Shanahan strays away from this, but that was pretty awesome. Like just seeing Guerrero actually get like positive yardage on carries was a huge win. But again, we still took a lot. So
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are both pretty down on Shanahan, and rightfully so. You look around on social media right now, even listening, I was listening to 95.7 The Game right before this, and it seems like everyone has something to say about Kyle Shanahan. And you guys just said that you guys are disappointed in the play calling and whatnot. But obviously, Shanahan's not going to be on the hot seat. But do you think there's something to be said about like him moving forward? Do you like have any sense like he's going to be in the hot seat if this continues, or is it not one of those situations he's locked in?
I don't see Shanahan being on the hot seat. Like I've said before, any coach that you have, you're going to question their play calling, especially as a big fan and you're watching every game and every play in so much detail. You're going to be like, what's this? What's this? And it's easy to be an armchair quarterback. Again, obviously, I'm not the one on the sidelines calling the plays. I call plays on a Pee Wee team, and it's not as easy as it looks, right? You're in the heat of the game, and things happen, and you're just kind of trying to keep up with what you think is best for the team. But I don't see Shanahan on the hot seat. I've heard that kind of rumor out there, but to me, it's like who out there is better than Shanahan? Like if you can give me a coach that might be a better option, then okay, we might have a discussion. But I don't. To me, Shanahan's a top 5, if not top 3 head coach in the NFL. So as much as we can complain about it and, he's getting cute or whatever it might be, I think he's not on the hot seat. He shouldn't be on the hot seat, and he gives us the best chance to win a Super Bowl. I think at the end of the day, it's just him sticking to what he does best, and that's calling a great running game, relying on his great running scheme, and not overthinking situations. For example, when we're down there at 3rd and goal and we go 4 wide with Devo in the backfield. In my opinion, why not just go I formation, use check, put Kittle next to Trent Williams and say, hey, we're running the ball to the left, and we're going to, I would much rather see us get stuffed on a run play with Jordan Mason following Trent Williams, use check and Kittle, than see us go 4 wide with Devo in the backfield. So it's just little things like that irritates me, but I don't think he's on the hot seat.
I have mixed feelings, right? So continuing on what Mark said, absolutely. I think that if we were to lose one of those possessions in the sense where we're not walking away with a touchdown in the red zone, I would rather it be because the defense made a great play against a physical team. That's just not the case, and that's why I think that I'm like 50-50 on is Shanahan on the hot seat. I think he's starting to be. I think that if we don't come away this season with at least a playoff appearance, he's going to start to be. But yeah, there isn't really a better option, so we do have to kind of just bite our tongues, even though we hate what happens when Shanahan blows a game like this, because I think a couple things were happening here. One, I think Shanahan's starting to truly trust Brock Purdy. And what we saw today was Brock Purdy and IU finally connect. And I really want to just bring that up because I have been the biggest naysayer of Brandon Ayuk because he's missed all of the preseason. And I pointed out in multiple podcasts that we've had. But today, chemistry finally happened, week 5. It took 5 weeks. So that just proves the point that if you don't show up to the preseason and you don't show up to practice and you don't have that communication and timing with your quarterback, 5 weeks is the delay. So now we know 5 weeks is the delay. However, if we get that kind of production from Brandon Ayuk moving forward, man, that's going to be awesome. I mean, he had 130 yards going into the half, I think. I mean,
he finished 147, 8 catches.
I guess you could then say what happened in the second half, but
Yeah,
I mean,
you could say that for the whole 49ers because we didn't score any
Yeah.
points in the second half.
we didn't do shit in the second half. And what really bothered me is so for our listeners, I got called into work today and I made a argument to my boss why I shouldn't have to work because I had it covered. So we met in the middle. I said I'll come in and I'll handle some of the workload and I'll come out and I'll be able to get off at whatever time. My goal was 3. I got off at 2:05. So I got to see the end of the second quarter and the entire second half. But what I got to watch in the second half was terrible football. I mean, everything good for the Niners, I think you could almost argue, happened in the first half minus the Moody thing. But like Diomeder Lenore making the special teams touchdown, a lot of the George Kittle plays first half. I mean, once we got to the second half, we abandoned the run. We couldn't complete the same passes. I mean, the stats show it. Ayuk didn't have more than 20 yards in the second half. Maybe he had 30 yards. But after having 120 or 110 in the first, and then Jawan Jennings, I don't know what happened, but Purdy stopped looking his way this game. I mean, he only had, 40 yards?
He was, I think, early on too. The broadcast mentioned it, but he ended up going back in the game, but he had to tape his wrist. I wasn't sure if how serious that was, and maybe that was the cause Purdy not looking his way, but something was there for sure.
He's got 2 hands.
True. He's a pro.
No, but that's not what we're looking for, right? I mean, in the second half, what we saw was, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we saw James Conner go from having almost no yardage against our team to being able to run the ball down our throat.
I noticed a lot of missed tackles on James Conner. There was tons of plays, especially on that last drive. It's like, okay, we hit him in the backfield, and the next thing you know, he's getting 6 yards. It's like, what is happening? Again, 59, Devondre Campbell is a liability on the field. And now it's a run game and pass game. Like, I don't understand. And we did see a lot more D. Winters on the field today because Flanagan Fowles was out with an injury. But to me, if we're going to talk about the defense, there were a lot of missed tackles, and Devondre Campbell is a liability in the run game and the pass game. And I think, Shanahan, Lynch, they need to swallow their pride and say, okay, maybe this isn't the best free agent signing. He might be a good backup piece as a veteran, but get these young guys on the field. I mean, you just brought back
Jalen Graham.
Yeah, you just brought back Jalen Graham. You have D. Winters. Give these guys an opportunity to get out there and play, because we are missing 57 on the field right now, Drake Greenlaw. It's a huge hole in the defense. And I just, as much as the Niners offensive play calling without the field goal kicker, it changes everything. But to me, the defense, there was tons of missed tackles that we had that cost us the game.
I made a note in the first half that we're able to kind of more or less shut down James Conner in the run game. But in the second half, it was just a completely different game. So many missed tackles, arm tackles. It was embarrassing, to be honest.
You can't arm tackle a person like James Conner.
They're blaming the heat. I don't want to hear it.
The Niners?
I don't want to hear it either. We practice outside in the heat. Arizona is coming from Arizona, but I feel like they practice indoors most of the time. I don't know if they practice outdoors.
No, they said they practice outside. They practice outside.
So if they practice outside, they have the advantage in this game.
I don't care. You make millions of dollars to play football. I coach a Pee-wee football team in Sacramento, and we practice in 98-degree heat almost every day. So I don't want to hear
There's no excuses. No excuses, but absolutely. I think I texted you guys. Campbell, for whatever we signed him for $10 million, I think that's why he's still starting, because they don't want to admit that was a bad signing. And realistically, you have to cut your losses 5 games into the season, right? I mean, we're not talking about game 1, he did bad. Game 2, he did bad. 3, he did bad. 4, he did bad. Now we're at game 5. Why are we still letting him play? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, we lost Curtis Robinson. We just brought back Jalen Graham. We got so lucky again. We shouldn't have never lost Curtis Robinson. We shouldn't have let him go. But he got hurt. That's okay. Jalen Graham, we shouldn't have let go. But he's back. So why are we still making the same mistake on defense? I don't get it. I don't know whose call that is, right? I don't think it's Sorensen's call, right? I think this is what's his name?
I don't know whose call it is.
I think it's what's his name that we brought from the Chargers.
Staley. I don't think it's Brandon Staley. I think when it comes to that, it has to be a front office, right?
It has to be a Shanahan.
It's either Lynch or Shanahan. Yeah.
It has to be,
Ryan?
because It doesn't make sense.
So you're saying a front office would supersede the decision from the D coordinator to pull this guy, or just to make the call on who's in and who's out?
Well, I'm asking you, do you
Has
think
to
it's
be.
just Shanahan call or a Lynch call?
Just to say, hey, this, you know what? Changes have to be made now for this player
Exactly.
because X, Y. Okay, I misunderstood. Then yeah, I think it
Yeah.
does have to come from front office because let's say this front office doesn't step in and say anything. Nick Sorensen is just going to keep rolling them out week after week, and this is going to be the same conversation we're going to have. So
Well,
the change needs to happen today from probably John Lynch.
On
well,
Thursday, I want to see D Winters. I want to see 53 right next to Fred Warner instead of 59. In my opinion, like it just has to happen. Like something needs to be done
he
because
needs to have
59
one
is
of
a
those like
liability.
fake injuries.
He's a liability.
He needs to have a Devontae Adams, my hamstrings hurt and I can't play the game injury.
And
You know,
hold on,
like
another
'cause it's
liability
bullshit.
too.
Let's hear it.
Another liability is Isaac Yadam got burnt on that last drive by Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison,
Again,
yeah.
why is Renardo Green not on the field? Like Yadam continually gets burnt, right? I understand he was a veteran you pulled in, and he's a good third or fourth corner maybe. Like if you have to have it, but like he got burnt by Marvin Harrison Jr. on a play where we dialed up a blitz. We got in Kyler Murray's face, and he just could not stick with a rookie receiver. And to me, I think Renardo Green is at least in a better position than Isaac Yadam. And it's very, very, very frustrating to me because we have these young guys that have potential and we're not seeing them get the opportunity to make plays on defense. And every time I do see Renardo Green, he's in position. Every time I do see D Winters, he's in position. But they're not getting the starts over these veteran free agent signings that we had, and it's costing us football games. So someone needs to swallow their pride, whether it's the front office saying, hey, we signed these guys need to start, or it's Shanahan saying, hey, I'd rather start veterans because I don't trust rookies. Like whoever it is, I don't know who it is. I'm not there every day, and I'm not in the meeting rooms, and I'm not in this, but there needs to be a change because what's happening right now is not Super Bowl champion football. And at the end of the day, the best man should play. And for me, what I've seen on game days, Renardo Green is better than Isaac Yadam. D Winters is better than Devondre Campbell. And if those veterans don't like being benched for a rookie, then goodbye, good luck in free agency, and have a good time on another team because this team is Super Bowl or bust this year. And that's where I'm at right now with the defense.
My thought is what is
Mark,
the point in investing in draft capital? Renardo Green is a second round pick, third round pick, second round pick, I think. What is the
Second
point of
round pick.
investing in him? D Winters.
Go ahead, Ryan. You can.
I was going to agree with you, Mark. I was going to say that Isaac Yadam play, it was a fourth down play, 4th and 5. We got the pressure. Kyler Murray was backpedaling, threw it up. Marvin Harrison comes down with it. And who was the defender? Isaac Yadam. And I remember thinking, man, this is a game-changing play. A 4th and 5. We can really get the stop here, get the ball back. You know, our kicker situation's bad, but at least we have a chance to score and, you know, create some separation, score any points in the second half, get anything
The
going.
game would have been over probably.
Yeah, I legitimately thought, like, you know, you hate to point to a single play in a game and kind of pinpoint that as like the turning point, but that is a momentum play, if anything. And they ran the ball down, and the rest is history from there. So, man, like critical stops need to be made, and these are veterans, man. Isaac Yadam and Campbell, veterans, NFL veterans, 28-year-old, 31-year-old. And at this point, like if that's the type of output we're going to get, I 100% agree. At this point, let's give the rookies some playing time. Let them get some more reps, some more film out there. And because this is have to stop. I feel like we're repeating ourselves every week. Isaac Yadam, Campbell getting burned, getting torched. And that ends up leading to our downfall. And like we're now approaching must-win conversation territory heading into week 6. And it's just kind of wild. Like heading into the season, I did not think it was gonna, you know, we're gonna say we're heading into a must-win week 6 matchup against the Seattle Seahawks just to stay afloat in the NFC West. So that's where we're at now, unfortunately. And that's the state of the Niners. I know the Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff, I do not envy those guys. Mark, you know, you're the coach here. So you probably have a lot more insight how it is to re-examine yourselves, your coaching staff, the team after a loss. But this one hurts as a fan, and I really hope that they turn this around. We said this the other week. We've been saying this, but Shanahan, man, you're the head guy. We need you to do something here.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to look in the mirror, right? Like, what are we doing wrong as a coaching staff? What are we doing wrong as a team that has put us in the position where we're 2-3, and we should probably be 4-1, right? Like, you could argue they should have won this game. They blew it, and they probably should have won the Rams game, right? So those are two games where they blew, and those are two divisional games. Like Thomas said earlier in the podcast, we're 0-3 in the NFC. Not only that, we're 0-2 in the NFC West. So now we're in a big hole in the division, not just a conference, the division, and we play against the Seahawks, who again, short week in Seattle. It's a tough place to play. They're playing good football. It's just really tough as a Niner fan to see the drop off. And just, I think is a standard, right? Like, there's a standard that needs to be met and is not being met. And for some reason, the coaching staff is not holding these guys accountable. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, Belichick, Yadam gets burnt once, like, he's getting benched.
He's
like,
out.
You're out, right? Devondre Campbell, like, you're continually getting burnt in pass coverage, and now you're missing tackles in the run game. You're out, bro. Like, it's just, you have to look in the mirror as a coach and say, hey, you know what? These are guys that we thought going to help us. They're not going to help us. Like, let the rookies get chances. And Ryan, you said it correctly, and we could probably end here. Like, this is a must-win game on Thursday night. It's a short week. It's in Seattle, always a place that gives us trouble. We have to win this game, because if we lose this game, we fall to 2-4. We're 0-3 in the division. Now we have the Chiefs, the Cowboys, all these guys that we're playing. Like, it's a rough road ahead. So because they blew this game, this is desperate territory on Thursday night, and I'm excited to see how they answer. Usually they answer well to these situations. They answer like championship team, but the way the second half went, I don't know.
Is week 6 going into the divisional or NFC situation where we haven't won a single NFC game? Will we make a change and let the rookies, the better talent, get on the field? That's going to decide the game. I think that if we go into the game with the exact same game plan, we don't win. We have to take out Yadam. Yadam is a liability. Campbell's a liability. They're both essentially Ryan Gosling playing corner for a member of the Titans. I hate to bring that up, but let's just bring it on. Let's be honest. They're an absolute liability when it comes to coverage, and now they're a liability according to run. So, like, why is Campbell in the game? So, going to this game, we have to play differently. We have to have a different mindset. We have to change our game plan, because we can't go 6 games into the season saying, hey, I hope this works, and keep banging our head against the wall. It's not working. We need to see something different. And I don't know about you guys. I'm hopeful. I still believe, as a 49er faithful, that we're going to turn it around, because there's still a lot of games to play. There's still a lot of football season ahead of us. And I don't know about you, but I think we can come out and we still have a chance at making the playoffs. Is it going to be a tough road ahead? Absolutely. Is it tough sledding? Sure. But are we going to be doing it behind Jordan Mason, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuels? Absolutely. We got the Avengers. So, and I trust Brock Purdy to carry our team if we call the right game. So with that, guys, I hope that going into Thursday, thank you 49er faithful and fans of the Niner Station for listening this long. And once again, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. But let's close it out here, guys. Bang, bang.
Niner gang.
Niner gang.